working on. But as for engagement, we do engagement all the time.
But isn't the strategy a bit lopsided, considering that it is normally the people in the middle class and in the upper class who lead this? So if you're engaging with the informal people at the markets, what about residents? What is the strategy for dealing with people who live in the areas that you govern? Not everybody's a trader.
Of course. What I'm saying is that, I mean, we do community engagement as well. And we reach out to people through various platforms. I mean, we reach out to people face to face, which is part of the communication. This engagement that we will also be shown on a television that people will also watch is also through, it's also an engagement. We have social media platforms that we also engage the citizenry through that. So we have several platforms that we do the engagement with, but you need to prioritize what to do and what not to do. In fact, the Ministry of Information also directed that there should be constant engagement between the assemblies and the people. And of course, we also do that. The last one we did was at Osu Presby Hall, where we invited the people of all walks of life in Accra and the major stakeholders in the city to engage them on the things that we are doing, their expectations, and then progress made so far.
Do you sleep easy at night, considering that the president has said, I want to make Accra the cleanest? Now, we know Accra has been demarcated, but everybody still sees Honorable Adjei Sowah as the figurehead of Accra. When you sleep and you think about these things, you don't get worried about becoming a political casualty?
Political casualty, no. But if you ask me if I sleep well, I'll tell you that I don't sleep well, because I believe that the president means well for this country, and we are his able lieutenants that have to walk his talk to ensure that we attain the vision of the president. So the president doesn't sleep, and equally his lieutenants who wants to make sure that we deliver on his honor shouldn't also sleep like that. And this is a city. If you see a mayor that goes to bed, it means that the city is also going to bed. There's a 24-hour business going on over here. I walk around night to inspect the city, what is happening, giving directive, what should be done and what not to be done. So it's a 24-hour business.
You were at Charlotte over the weekend. What are you doing there?
Charlotte, it's the biggest festival. You know, I've been proud to become a mayor. You know, I come from Bukum. So I've been part of the Charlotte, you know, right from its inception. But it's a big platform for us to show what the city stands for. And I think that having associate AMA to the Charlotte Festival has also promoted the city internationally. And it also serves as an opportunity for creative arts to also display what they have done, and a huge market, and people also to have fun. I was there on Saturday and I was there yesterday as well. And
you enjoyed the art. We don't seem to have a lot of artsy spaces in Accra.
Well, and that is fairly correct. And having traveled a bit around the world, I have recognized the contribution of creative artists to the city and the country as a whole. I have hosted the Ghana visual artists several times. In fact, I'm working closely with the Ghana visual artists. If you go to our new office, they are the people that they are displaying their paintings in our new office now. And our new office will also serve as one of the important locations where artists will be displaying their works or will be exhibiting their works over there. I'd also hosted them in my official residence. If you come to my official residence, this year the World Art Day in Ghana's version was hosted at my residence, and there was a lot live paintings of people, you know, including my good self. In fact, I also printed, and you will see they asked me to write stop work produce permit on one of my paintings. Quite interesting.
But aside that, every modern city thrives on the arts, the culture. and playgrounds for children.
Sure.
We don't have one. We have the Ifwa Sutherland Children's Park, if we can call it a playground. What are you doing about that?
Well, the Ifwa Sutherland Park, prior to we coming into office, had some issues in terms of ownership, but it's been largely resolved now. It's now under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture. I have seen a very beautiful design by David Adjei and Associates on the Ifwa Sutherland Park, and which they intend to look for funding for it. So the Ministry of Tourism and Culture is leading on that front, and that is going to be one of the finest, the biggest playground in this country. On our own, as Accra Metropolitan Assembly, we've also identified few locations, including the one opposite the National Theatre, the National Lotteries, that we want to turn the place also into a playground. And then we've started also
Are you talking about the art center? The
yes.
space across?
Not the place across. That side is the Marine Drive Enclave. There's an open space which is sandwiched between the old Parliament House and then the National Theatre, turning into the Tema Station. That's the location I'm talking about. But when you cross the road, you've entered into the Marine Drive Enclave, which is going to be one of the monumental projects to start with.
All right, then. You're watching Face to Face, and today my guest is the Mayor of Accra. When we return, we'll talk about demolitions and a certain Agboglosi market.
Wherever the weekend sporting action happened, we will bring it to you here on Scorecard. Every goal, every dunk, every punch, the winning strides, and the winning volleys.
Come international media, he said, look, wait, sit and wait. Let me have a meal with my people. And I think that's the same cool, it's the same organization he brings to the field every time I've seen him play. He looks to me like somebody who has played over 50 caps already. Okay. But this guy has barely played over 25 caps for the national team.
All of the weekend's action in one place. Scorecard. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. prompt on CTTV.
Welcome back to Face, and we're speaking to the Mayor of Accra. And Mr. Mayor, before we left, you were talking about the Marine Drive. I find it interesting. Now, a few of the indigents around that area are saying part of the plan was to make it a space where they would also get jobs, they being the indigents. Complaints are that they are not seeing these things.
Well, we have not started anything yet.
Have you interacted with them?
We do. We have interacted with them.
You've given them assurances?
The assurances had been given, and that's how come you had the chiefs and elders of the Osu traditional area and then the Gamashi traditional area coming together to pledge their support to the Marine Drive. In fact, prior to that, there had been a lot of engagement because within that enclave, there are some locations which are also very much interested to the Ga people. There are some shrines there. So a lot of cultural activities had also taken place over there just to reassure everybody. Indeed, behind the Osu Castle is also a fishing community. And the Marine Drive is intended to also make sure that that fishing community is maintained. Because if you want to promote tourism, you don't promote tourism by erasing your past and then coming out with something entirely new. You need to show the transformation, the evolution of Accra from pre-colonial to the present, and the future is what we are looking at.
So you are promising these people that when it is time to begin, we'll not see expats running all over the place. The locals that you've promised to give jobs to during the construction of this project will get the jobs.
Of course. I mean, I come from Accra, and by God's grace, I'm the mayor of Accra, and the people there are my family people. So if I don't seek to protect the interests of our own people, then who else will do that?
Let's talk about Agboglosi and the intended demolition that has been set for that particular space. What is the issue with Agbogblosi? Why do you need to demolish?
Well, I don't know the kind of demolition that is going to happen at Agbogblosi and what is being talked about, you know.
But the MP says you are trampling on human rights of the people there.
Well, I've heard him talking about something wanting to go to court about an action. But if you want to go to court, it is open for you to go there. Is there a need for you to hold a press conference and tell the whole world that you want to go to court?
But these are his people. He has to engage with
them.
He's the
member
of parliament.
It's our people. The people everywhere in this country are our people. You can't say that these are his people. They are our people.
But he says you are being insensitive to your people then.
So it's very important to ensure to make the case that it's our people. And we have been put into position of trust to develop this country and ensure that there's fairness and equity in the things that we do and the actions that we take. And we cannot be that insensitive to the people of this country, especially the people of Accra. If you go to the railway stations today, the Ministry of Railways, it's developing our railway line and reconstructing it. And in the course of the construction, there's certain meters that you should stay away from it. And people had encroached on that space. We should be mindful of safety of everyone, and that requires an action to be taken for people to move away to a certain distance, and that for me is very clear. So if decisions are being taken in the supreme interest of this country, and people could think that they could take political advantage of it, I consider such people are desperate politicians, and they should think about this country and the safety of everyone. But that's why I said that everybody everywhere is our people.
Yes, that point is well made. But then, what kind of engagement have you had with the potential victims?
It is as a result of this series of engagement and somebody's token partisan fire is what you're doing.
But what is the mitigating?
We have not. No, let me. We have not gone ahead to do any demolition there. All what we've been doing all this while is an engagement. They had been engaged not once, not twice, on several occasions. So for anybody to go behind some people claiming that they are his people, I mean, they are Ghanaians. Every Ghanaian everywhere is a Ghanaian. And wait until you get to 2020, then you start talking about partisan political issues. But if in your mind every day is about party politics, NDC, NPP, I will not fall for that.
So you are not convinced that the Member of Parliament has a case regarding the circumstances of the over 4,000 or 5,000 people who say they are going to lose over 1,000 homes, be they temporary?
No, in any case, I'm saying that in any case, the Member of Parliament is a member of the Assembly. It makes sense, and rightfully so, that if you have a case, you should approach the office here for a discussion. But if you choose to use the media for whatever your intentions are, clearly shows how desperate you are as a politician. And that's what I frown upon. And I think that the earlier we become more responsible leaders, the better it will be for all of us.
I can understand that point, but let's focus on the Agbogblosi people. Let's leave the politicians out.
When this exercise I have explained to you, I have explained
will the people be okay with the program that you have?
I have explained to you that there is no need for us to take action against people who rightfully occupy a location. No way that we will do so. If there's a need for us to move some people away from a location as a result of a project which is coming on, what we need to do is to engage the people. We had engaged them and we continue to engage them. It is through the engagement that a certain politician decide to stoke partisan politics fire and just blowing some hot air. I mean, I'm not perturbed by those things. I want to be focused on delivering on our mandate.
Okay. Is Adjei Kotoku still under you?
No, not really.
It has moved.
Adjei Kotoku is under West Municipal Assemblies in Amasaman at the moment. But the location that we are talking about is not Old Fadama. It's just a small place behind the Accra Brewery. So when people mention Agbogboshi, you think that is Old Fadama, you think that's not the location you are talking about. It's just a small place behind the Accra Brewery. That's what his made is. But when you mention Agbogboshi, everybody thinks that, oh, is the Old Fadama. That's not the place you are talking about. But he has made a big news for all of you. If not because of you, I will not even pay attention, let alone even respond to some.
But since you've brought it to my attention, let's talk about the big Agbogboshi.
Oh, okay.
And the fact that it's considered amongst the most toxic sites in the world, that it's a major market.
Sure.
In your area. A lot of people buy food from there. There are so many social welfare issues within that particular enclave.
Sure.
What are you doing about the people at Agbogboshi? What are you doing about the toxic issues, the health issues, of course, the obvious hygiene issues? There's a huge refuse dump right behind them. There's a cattle ranch. We don't know if it is legal or not. Also in that space. It's one huge illegality just staring at you in the face.
Sure. Let me say that there are two sides at Agbogboshi. The Agbogboshi community, which is the settlement where we call it Sodom and Gomorrah, is called it Old Fadaman. And then we have the market. And then we have Agbogboshi Township, where people also stay. The location you are talking about, which is the Old Fadaman, where mainly people stay there coming from the north. We have scrap dealers there. We have the Konkomaya market there. We have the palm oil market there, and some community people over there. That's a challenge to us. The people, the last time an enumeration was done there, the people there are more than 100,000. So that's a huge number you're talking about. It has been on the table of government all this while to relocate the people from the Old Fadama. But the original idea is to relocate the bulk breaking markets. So the Agbogboshi market, which is the food market, it's a bulk breaking market. It's not purely for retail. So the idea is to move the market away from the city center, so that all the big trucks, even that comes to the city center, would cease to come into the city center, because they also create huge traffic also within the city center. Unfortunately, the land which was acquired at Adjei Kotoku, government over the years haven't utilized it very well, and people have taken advantage. The last time I went there, over 80% or to 90% of the land is gone, and I'm wondering, how the relocation is going to be like. But the small market which was constructed with adjoining fire service, police station, and the school are still there, so probably we could take advantage of it. But the numbers that we have at Agbogboshi, and the space available at Adjei Kotoku cannot accommodate the numbers. My position is that we should be thinking of urban regeneration, and there are many of such projects abound across the world. That yes, there are people there. How do we use the space at Agbogboshi and build a more modern market, considering the traffic and other ancillary activities or facilities that we could provide, so that the market will serve the city very well. It was originally thought that once you move the market away from there, then the settlement on the other side, dotted along the Kole Lagoon, would also move, because they feed on the market there. But once you have not moved, you will not be able to use the natural strategy to move the other people also from there. So that is a challenge we are also confronted with. Now, there's this project which is coming on. That's the Garrett project.
The what?
Garrett. That's the Greater Accra Resilience Integrated Project, which is sponsored by the World Bank. And it has 4 components. One, it's the under the Ministry of Works and Housing, is to bring the life of the Korle Lagoon back. So the Korle Lagoon Ecological Restoration Project will also come on under that project. And an agreement has already been signed. And then there's another component which is being spearheaded by the Ministry of Sanitation to construct some transfer stations at certain locations, one also in central Accra, and also to evacuate the toxic waste there. The toxic waste on the Abubushi, which is close to the ICGC church, had been there for over 20 years. And I'm told that the leachate coming out from the dam site is very dangerous. As I speak to you now, we have contracted somebody who is doing an impact assessment, and very soon the consultant is proposing that we cap the waste there. There's another school of thought that the waste should be evacuated from that location. So that we are not certain of that, but once the consultant finished and gave us the best solution, we'll also consider it, and that is also being captured under the Greater Accra Resilience and Integrated Project, that we are doing. Okay. Currently, the Ministry of Science and Technology and Innovation, with the support from the Germans, are also coming to construct a modern e-waste recycling plant there, so that all the scrap dealers in that area will bring their scraps to them, and that will be processed there before they are sent to wherever they will go to. So, and in a couple of days, the German Chancellor will be coming to town, and one of their ministers would like to visit that project as well, because the Germans are sponsoring that particular project, and they want to make sure that we change the life of the people in that particular community. And once the Garrett project is fully commenced, people will be affected, and those who will be affected will have to be compensated also. It's a World Bank project. So the Ministry of Inner City and Zongo Development is also identifying communities that will be affected by the project, and then taking stock of the people and the potential impact on their properties, and for a compensation package also to be arranged for them. So these are the ministries leading the project, and because it's within our jurisdiction, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly is the major beneficiary to that project. But beyond AMA, there are some locations also, for instance, in Domi, where there will be another transfer station there. So Ghana East is also Assembly is also actively involved.
All right. Now, you're one of the first mayors I heard talk about the difficulty in executing tasks because power is not centralized with you. You have to work with a lot of agencies in order to be able to execute. You've openly complained about this, in that it limits just what you can do at a time. Have you made any headway in perhaps proposing suggestions where a bit more power will be entrusted to you to be able to execute some of the plans that you have?
Well, I think that it's been tackled from another angle. Let me put it this way, because the creation of more assemblies probably is to ensure that we have many micro units with an administrative structure to deal with the issues. But there's a much bigger issue that we need to reflect over as a country. in any city that you think that it's developed, and you can't pinpoint any city, either in Cape Town, Joburg, London, wherever you are, the city authority has full powers to manage the city. So you have even the police, under the authority of the police. So you have the Metropolitan Police. You have the education, under the city authority. So it's come out very clear, so that in your planning, when you look on the dashboard, you are making sure that everything is managed properly. But if the city is managed with a lot of agencies having so much powers to take independent decisions, that's where the challenge is. And that's what I think that as a country we need to reflect over it properly and know that we have only one city, and that city should have a lot of authority and power. Nothing happens within the city on the blind side of the city authority.
But you are in a position of power where you can push this agenda, where you can let your voice be heard on this. Have you done so?
I'm doing so right now, even through this particular program, and as you alluded to it, that I have spoken about it previously.
Perhaps you are not pushing it forcefully enough. You should be having conversations with the minister and the president about this.
Well, I'm continuing the conversation with other people as well. I'm bringing it up as well. In fact, if you looked at the evolution of our local governance system and a lot of ideas that I have seen, there's a lot of talk about how to have the area called Accra with an authority to manage what we call Accra. I mean, a lot of things happens even in the urban areas, and they still make reference to the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, because you come even by the name Accra Metropolitan Assembly. So when you tell people that, oh, this is not my jurisdiction, but you are the AMA boss, you are the mayor, why are you saying so? Even within your jurisdiction and the things that are happening. For instance, if you have a Ministry of Education, and there are education infrastructures within your location, and you provide even that infrastructure, the Ministry of Education is still a unit on its own that have their own administrative structure, and they take instructions also from their ministries, their national office, regional office, and then they also work with the municipal and metropolitan assemblies as well. My view is that it doesn't work that way. The Ministry of Education, which is the policy making body, should make its budgetary allocation like the way we have the District Assembly Common Fund that shares their common fund for the assemblies. Each ministry should also be able to consider that, because then we can fully decentralize. Because when we have decentralized and you have the bodies there and they are working, then you know that these are fully decentralized bodies and they are working. I mean, once you have the money and the assemblies do not have the money, certainly the one who pays the piper calls the tune.
You're watching Face to Face on City TV. When we return, we'll have a conversation about beggars in the city of Accra.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation. Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
Spend 30 30 minutes every weekday catching up with all the trending social media conversations of the day. If you tweet it, we'll read it. We might just even Skype you. 30 minutes is all it takes, so use the hashtag 30minutes on social media to catch our attention. Join the most interactive social media TV show weekdays at 5 p.m. only on City TV.
Welcome back to Face to Face, where we are speaking to the Mayor of Accra, the Honorable Adjei. So, Honorable, let's talk about floods. Are you satisfied with what you've seen as Mayor of Accra in the past year and a half?
I think that we still have a long way to go, and I'm quite hopeful that the Greater Accra Resilience Integrated Project would help to resolve largely the problems of flooding issue in Accra, because the whole project was commenced as a result of the June 3rd, 2015 disaster that occurred, and the World Bank came to conduct a city's diagnostic strength and to assess the resilience of the city. And one of the key things that we identified was our open drains, our sanitation issues, and then how to manage our river bodies and our water bodies. These were the issues that came up strongly, and that informed the project that we're going to commence. At this critical moment, the city authority is doing its best, but it needs a huge funding to be able to deal with it. But coupled with that, we should not forget that the climate has changed, and that is a reality. I am at the forefront of talking about climate change issues and its impact. Currently, I represent the mayors in the whole of Africa on a steering committee championing climate change issues. So when I get opportunity, I still want to talk about it. That's the truth of the matter. So we need also to understand that the impact of the rain is also partly as a result of climate change, but there are serious structural defects also that we have identified, and we need to address those issues.
How soon are we addressing those issues, Mr. Adjei?
Well, as I said, for us on our part, the basic things must be addressed. One, it's the issue about making sure that our drains are desilted all the time. So at the AMA, we have a drains maintenance gang that we do the desilting all the time. And then we also have to make sure that waste is also cleared from the streets of Accra all the time. But there are bigger issues that our funding don't have the capacity to deal with it. For instance, the dredging of the Korle Lagoon, which is under the Ministry of Works and Housing.
And that's taking forever.
It's taking a long time. As I speak to you now, if you go back to the Korle Lagoon, you will see that it's filled with a lot of waste. And in the event that a heavy rain falls, we could be possibly exposed, because the Korle Lagoon, once it is dredged, its opening absorbs the water coming from upstream, and sometimes when the sea rises, the water cannot go into the sea. But because the Korle Lagoon itself is not dredged, it's unable to absorb large quantities of the rainwater, and then it flows back into Adabaka, Sahara, Udona, those areas, CTFM, your areas. So a constant dredging of the Korle Lagoon is extremely important assignment for us to deal with the issue about flooding in Accra.
Has the ministry updated you on why they seem unable to be able to complete a task that obviously is at the heart of the problem that we have with flooding?
I think that the major issue is always about funding. I mean, the
Shouldn't they
poverty.
be able to find money
Exactly.
considering the collateral damage that comes with what happens every time it rains?
Well, that's why I'm saying that under the Greater Accra Resilience Integrated Project, that will be dealt with. But even before then, there should be some form of constant dredging so that the amount of garbage in it now will be removed before we do the final dredging of making sure that we bring the Korle back to its life. And I think that the ministry should be working on that.
When I was coming to your office, the traffic here, Mayor, absolutely unbearable. What are you doing about the traffic situation?
Traffic situation has improved by 40% for the past couple of months.
By what indices are you
By
giving us the
40%.
statistics?
And I want to
Mayor?
give you the indices. Travel time within the city center has reduced. I mean, when you are coming in and going out, travel time has reduced drastically by 40%. And we drive around town. We have our transport department with season planners that focuses more on traffic issues. In fact, one of the things that I have prioritized in my office is about traffic management and safety issues. So, I mean, since I assumed office, I had come out with the pedestrian safety action plan. I've also come out with another report on traffic management, which looks at from 2011 to 2015 and the impact of traffic on our lives and in Accra. And all these are available to your efforts, and I can also furnish you with some of these things. And it uses a coordinated approach. So you could see that with the pedestrian safety action plan, which we were at the forefront, working with the Department of Urban Roads, working with the National Road Safety Commission and other agencies. Today, if you walk around the ministries, the Rich Enclave and some other areas, they have mounted bullets in all these locations just to indicate where pedestrians have to cross. You don't cross anywhere. Just like it's all as a result of this pedestrian action safety action plan that we have designed, and we are responding to it. We are implementing it to the letter. Another example, it's La Paz intersection. The La Paz intersection records the highest pedestrian casualty in the whole of Accra. 16% of all pedestrian casualties happens on the N1, and we've taken note of that based on the research work that we've done over there. We also realized that the pedestrian crossing on the La Paz intersection and the N1, it's so high, over 16,000 crossing in an hour and over 200,000 crossing within a 12-hour period on the N1 alone. So you can understand that where human activity is concentrated, safety issues must be prioritized. As I speak to you now, we are redesigning the La Paz intersection to ensure that pedestrian crossing is done in a very safe manner. We want to make sure that we have a pedestrian crossing sign, the traffic signals are changed, the crossing we need to make sure that the curbs has ramps that wheelchairs can also cross, because at the moment, if you are a wheelchair driven person, you can't cross the La Paz intersection. All these things have been designed. We secure the funding for it. We just commission it, and then in a matter of weeks, the works will also commence over there. And so there are many things that we are also doing. And also within the city center, we have created more parking spaces within the city center, on-street and off-street parking. Off-street parking has over 4,000 capacity, and on-street parking has about 1,000 capacity within the city center. The off-street parking includes Octagon building, which is around the Accra City Hotel Kimbu, takes about 1,200 cars. The SNIT car park takes about 800. The Accra City car park here takes about 500. The Rollins car park takes about 400. The Mokola shopping mall takes about 300. The ADB financial hub also takes about 80, and I can give you the list. These are off-street parking places. What people don't do, or the attitude of Ghanaians, is that let me go and park my car here, pay, go and do my business, and come and take my car and go away. People still want to park on the shoulders of the road. People still want to park on the pedestrian walkways, and this is where we are also responding swiftly by making sure that we clamp your car, we tow your car, so that you pay penalty for it. So we have towing, companies that are also working within the center. For me, we are doing this to ensure that there is discipline and to prioritize pedestrian safety. Our report from 2011 to 2015, 70% of the road crashes fatalities are pedestrians. So some of these decisions that you take is in the interest of this country and the data that you are informed with. But you sometimes have, truck drivers, taxi drivers who want to park anywhere to do their business. If you are envisioning a city that 30 years to come, we want to have a very smart, sustainable and resilient city, modern city, then we should start from now. We cannot be thinking about what will happen, having a very beautiful city in 2030 without taking action now. The action is now. There are some political consequences to that, but I'm very hopeful. I'm quite hopeful that the people of this country and the people of Accra will see the benefits of our actions, and then they continue to encourage us to do the work. You make reference to other areas like Kigali. Kigali is an authoritarian system. In our part of the world, we are liberals, we are Democrats, and we say all kinds of things. Can you imagine that we have such an authoritarian system over here? Those days when we have Salifu Amankwa at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, that people are whipped left, right, so there could be some discipline. But I'm sure that we have moved on, and this is the path that we have chosen. We've chosen democracy. There's a price to pay for it, and we are navigating through it to ensure that we achieve the same goal.
Now, Honorable, there are those who said that the mayor's office is insensitive to the plight of street children and beggars, because it seems you are in open confrontation with these kids on the street, even though you've not set up a strategy to deal with them. What do you say to this?
Well, that cannot be true. I mean, I have worked in development circles for 20 years. So I am mindful of processes, strategies, and engagement of people. I am a human-centered person, and it's a job that I have done over the years. So having come into this office, I cannot do something different. Using kids to beg, it's illegal and is inhuman.
Are you sure that kids are being used to beg, or is their situation that just pushes them there?
If it is inhuman, and I think that it's important as a city and as a country, we wake up. People give out arms to people for all kinds of reasons, on religious ground, on compassion, on all kinds of things, and we are encouraging begging on the streets. As part of the District Assembly Common Fund, every district is supposed to have a disability fund to support disabled people within your district. All the people who are disabled on the streets takes advantage of the disability fund, but they still want you to be on the street because you are willing to give them money on the streets. You are willing to give out all kinds of things to them on the streets. And if I stay on the street and somebody comes to give me 10 Ghana cedis a day or 2 days, I mean, they're making a lot of money than people who are even doing business. So I think that it's important for also us to understand that we should stop encouraging people to beg on the streets, and especially the use of kids. What we have done is to work with the Ministry of Gender through the Department of Social Welfare. They have a huge facility at Medina, which is the social welfare at Medina. So when we pick the kids, we send them to Medina Social Welfare. At the Medina Social Welfare, they are screened and then they are reintegrated. Those who have families, they get back to their homes, and then we register their parents on the LEAP so that they can earn that support, and also facilitate the kids to go to school under the FQ program that we already have. Those that we could not find them, their parents, they are also sent to orphanage homes. There's one at Doimu and one also at Weja, which is big, and that's where we take care of them. There are many of them who are also foreigners who do not have any. So we also liaise with the embassies. As I speak to you now, few of them, the embassies have taken custody of them and they have dispatched them back to their homes. So it's a very comprehensive program that we are dealing with. But we know that is deep-rooted in our society. It's something that we have accepted to be part of our culture, and people willingly give out monies to the underprivileged and the beggars on the street because you think that you can also get some blessing in it. You think that you are satisfying your own ego sometimes, but at the end of the day, you are also promoting street begging. And the fact of the matter is that I had indicated to you earlier that 70% of the fatalities of road crashes are pedestrians. These are the people who fall victims to all kinds of road crashes that we see. If you have something to offer, there are orphanages there, go and give it to them, and I'm sure you get the same blessing as you want.
Thank you very much, the Mayor of Accra, for spending time with us. We caught him unawares, but he found time for us on Face to Face. My name is Godfred Akotoboa. I'll catch you on the next episode of Face to Face. Have a good day.